Hi everybody, this is Sheldon St. Clair on the weekly Project Management for Everyone show, broadcasting to you twice a week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. and today or Saturday at 10 a.m. Hope your week has gone really well for you, and I hope over the weekend you'll be putting kind of like your plans in place for next week to looking at your fears, looking at your dreams, looking at your desires, and putting in a pathway to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. Okay, last week, in response to feedback I've been receiving from friends and family and people who watch my broadcast, I had a number of questions that I asked and then answered. I'm going to continue the same thing today, so I'll be just today only that way, and then we'll continue with our normal kind of I don't know, theory and classroom sessions about things project management. Okay, so last week we ran over time by a lot. I think I had 5 questions that was put to me. Today I'm just going to do 3. Okay, so 3 questions, and hopefully I'll be within my 20 minutes. I know that for the past 2 or 3 sessions I've been over 20 minutes, so I apologise for that. Okay, so I've tried to make these questions, although these are about project management, but I've tried to make them relatable to businesses that you may be involved in. So for instance, if you're kind of into property, or property development and project management go hand in hand anyway, to be honest. I think kind of like the first project kind of recorded was the pyramids, and you had the Great Walls of China and that big city in Zimbabwe. So project management and construction, it is bread and cheese and grapes, something like that. Well, anyway, hand in hand. So so I've tried to make my answers to some of these questions relatable to that. But also, if you're an aspiring author, or if you're an artist, jewelry maker, or what have you, I try to make the answers to these project management questions relevant to you as well. As I've mentioned, project management is for everyone. Whatever you do, you can incorporate and utilize some of the cutting-edge project management tools, techniques, knowledge, and my expertise and experience as well. Okay, I will start this session with a quote. Love quotes. This was about teamwork, which is appropriate to the 3 questions I suppose I'll be raising today. I'm just setting the context, setting the background, allowing you time to go away and perhaps and get yourself a drink. Oh, I haven't got my drinks this morning. Bloody hell. Oh, sorry, I haven't got my drinks this morning. But, allow you time to get pen and paper, and things like that. Okay, so the quote is by a lady called Amy Poehler. She's an American actress, so I found out this morning. And the quote is as follows. Sorry, let's get my trusty friend, Percy. I feel like Percy anyway. I've always liked that name, Percival, yeah. Okay, so I can see. Right, so let me read this out now. Okay, so find a group of people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life. Okay, so some of the questions today is about stakeholder management, sorry, and risk management, and I've got another one as well. But but basically it's about working in teams. And it's best when choosing people you're working with, or even a life partner, I suppose, is finding people who challenge and inspire you. Don't challenge you too much, because even in the project world, if you've got difficult people, then they can destroy your project. They can lower morale. Yes, but find people that can inspire you, can take you on the journey, your journey of life, can help you on your journey of life. Okay. Anyway. Enough about that. Project management. Right, so the first question, I'll read it out. So let me look at the time on the clock. Okay, right, so the question is about managing difficult team members. Okay, now whether whether you're on a building site, whether you're dealing with architects, whether you're kind of like you're an author dealing with suppliers, whether you're an artist dealing with raw materials, you will come across difficult people, whatever that may be. Okay, and more often than not, these are people that don't report to you. You're sometimes working in a matrix environment, or a matrix environment where you've got people kind of like coming in for the job, coming in for this particular project, and then they go away. But how do you deal with them? So I've got three answers, always three. Okay, the first thing you can do is actually have a one-on-one. So if you've got a difficult person, it's become apparent over a period of time, what do you do? First thing you can do, have a one-to-one meeting with them to try to get them to understand the impact that their actions are having on your project. That's the first thing you can do. A lot of the time, we may have people that we don't like or are difficult people, but people talk around them, but no one actually talks to them. Yes, and you may find that sometimes they're just kind of sidelined and they're moved away, but the problem kind of like is basically visited on someone else. Yeah, the first thing you can do as a manager is to have a one-on-one, finding out kind of explain to them the impacts they're having on your project and what you can do to help them. Yeah, what you can do, and sometimes kind of like that works a lot of the time. You're trying to understand them. Okay, the second thing is, if they're not kind of like responding rapidly enough. So you've had a conversation with them, you've explained the situation, you've explained the impact, you try to see things from their point of view, but it's still not going as, they're still missing deadlines, they're still not doing their work. What do? You've got to escalate. You escalate to their supervisor perhaps, or line manager, or supervisor. If that doesn't work, you go up the line to their line manager. If that doesn't work, you go up the line until you can get a resolution. Okay, so talking to them and then escalating. And the third thing you can do, this is kind of like looking at you now, where you can kind of like stop and listen, because it may well be that there's some miscommunication going on. Yes, and are you, as the manager, communicating to them effectively? Are you listening to them? Yeah, so sometimes the problem isn't them, the problem is you, and perhaps you're kind of, if you've got a large team, it's beholden on you to know who your people are, and you might have some people that need you to kind of like hold their hands. You've got some people that just want you to tell them in the outline, this is what I want you to do, and they go away and do it. And other people, you've got to kind of like talk to them and give them almost a chapter and verse. Do this, do this, do this, do that. Almost like a checklist. Okay, but as the manager, as the leader, it's for you to know who your team members are and then kind of like use it accordingly. Okay, so and then finally kind of you can talk to their line manager. Okay, so basically one-to-one, find out what the problem is, or explain to them what their behaviour is having on the project. Secondly, escalate. Thirdly, are you communicating to them effectively? Stop and listen. Oh, yeah. I could be running out of battery power. Yeah, so therefore this will be a 15-minute session. And secondly, talk to their line manager. Okay, hope that was useful. If you found it useful, like, comment and share. Okay, so that's question one. Okay, we're going to finish within 20 minutes today, which is brilliant. Okay, so that's question one. Question two is about how you can add value at your stakeholder meetings. So who are our stakeholders? So if, kind of, for instance, you're involved in property development, your stakeholders will be any potential investors that you have, your architect, the building contractors, the brickies, the chippies, the sparks. Okay, so people involved in your project, your project team. Okay, if you're an author, then your stakeholders will probably be your publisher. They'll probably be your copywriter or editor. There can be people that you get raw materials from in terms of the paper, the printers, they're your stakeholders as well. If you're involved in kind of like, if you're a creative person and you're involved in, say, jewellery making, well, your suppliers of your raw materials will be a big stakeholder for you. And also the retailers, whether online or offline, will be important to you as well. So they're kind of like stakeholders. So how can you add value to the meetings you have with them? Again, we have 3 answers. So, one answer is broken up into lots of pieces. Okay, so let's see. Let me see if I can read my. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So answer 1 is broken up into 3 parts. Okay. So the first thing you can do is to talk to your stakeholders about what their expectations are of the project and what their expectations are of your roles and responsibilities, and then to see whether that matches your project's expectations. Sometimes projects are deemed a failure, not necessarily because the project manager didn't deliver what was in the business case, what was in the charter, what was in the plan, but they didn't keep their stakeholders involved, and the stakeholders' expectations of the project was different to theirs. And sometimes that could be deemed as a project's failure, in that a project manager may deliver something and it's not used. It's not that it's not fit for purpose, it's just that it's not used. That's a failure. Yeah. All that money, all that time, all those resources, and at the end of the day you've got something that's just sitting on the shelf. Okay, so that's a project failure, and it's about not addressing Mr. Stakeholder, Mrs. Stakeholder, Ms. Stakeholder, what's your expectations and does it match what the project's expectations are? Okay, the second way that you can add value at your meetings is by providing updates on the status of the project, any issues, any decisions you require from the stakeholders, and what the next steps are. And by the next meeting, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly, whether it's fortnightly or what have you, what the next deliverables will be in that time frame. Okay, and then finally, a lot of the time I find that people aren't necessarily, when you've got a meeting that you go to, there's no agenda. And then when you go to business as usual, the last item on the agenda, the stakeholder has all these questions that you're not able to answer, and you say, okay, then I'll come back to you. Well, why not ask your stakeholders before the meeting begins, or before the meeting is called, what is it they wish to discuss? And then you can spend your time bringing that information, in terms of pre-meeting prep, bringing that information to the meeting, so therefore you have a fuller, richer discussion. The stakeholders leave happy because they felt that you've addressed their concerns. You leave happy because the project is able to continue moving on. Okay, so that's one way that you can add value at your stakeholder meetings. You can also add value by... Oh, that's one of those questions already. Okay, you can also add value by communicating... Oh gosh, okay. I am going to have to go away and get a charger. So excuse me for about 30 seconds. One moment please, hang on. Bye for a minute.